Hi there, this is Laura Daub. I'm a psychic medium and I like to connect people with their loved ones past and their spirit guides and give messages from the universe as well. Last month, for March, I did a full month reading on current events and politics and things that might happen within the month. I wasn't planning on continuing that, but it does seem like in my teacup that I have poured, there's just a little bit of information, and it's just about today. Today, April 2nd, is the day that it's called Liberation Day in the United States, apparently, where they're coming out with the tariffs for the world. And because I'm in Canada, this is quite important. He has been threatening our sovereignty. So, of course, that's going to show up in my teacup. It can't help it. I've even tried to put it down and put it away and readjust and ask my spirit guides if I can get a different message. And nope, it always just has to come through, of course, because it's top of mind for me and top of mind for a lot of the collective. Some people don't even worry about this, but the people finding me here will be the people who are also concerned. This is a good time to let you know that if something doesn't resonate with you, then this reading just may not be for you. And you can continue to watch the rest of it if you'd like, but do take a look at my videos. I post mediumship readings on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday evenings, and I keep them up because I know at some point, if a message hasn't already met its intended person, then they will at some point. I try and put something in the title to, have you feel like you're going to hear about the right person. I try and put some descriptive words. Okay, so let's just go on with the reading. And I wanted to first off cover the political part here because it is April 2nd. This is what's considered Tariff Day or Liberation Day for the United States, according to the White House. So what I'm seeing here is my snake symbol. In a teacup or in my oracle cards, a snake can represent a toxic person in your life. So this definitely makes sense. For me, the person who is sort of putting all this threatening language onto us is a snake in my eyes. So that's why that's showing up in the teacup here. It can also represent mental health. So for those of you who are affected by this, like me, and you're probably watching my videos, people who aren't affected have probably stopped playing this video already, or if they've seen my other videos and they do not follow me, they didn't subscribe. So here, this snake here, DT, is letting the snake out of the bag. He's letting it fly. He's made his decisions. He feels really good about his decisions. He can't tell himself that there's any worry. He makes the decisions and then he goes with it. And if there's a fallout, then he'll deal with that. So he feels like he's been very smart about things. He feels like he's made all the right decisions so far and continues to do so. And that's not a big stretch here to think that he thinks that he's right. But that's what he's done. What the fallout will be, though, is a war. So when I say war, I don't necessarily mean an actual war, but that's a potential as well. And I'm not talking about with my country and the US, and I hope that's not the case, but I am seeing my war symbols here. Symbols like a parachuter. I am seeing some airplanes here flying, but they've already been up in the air. It's like they're predicting themselves that there's going to be a huge fallout, and it feels like they already have planes up in the air and ready to go. Not that we're retaliating in such a way that they would need that. It's just maybe a metaphorical symbol that they're ready to fight. for the fallout because they know that fallout is coming. One of the people by his side is Elon Musk. And I predicted last month that he would be leaving. And I do believe that he might have done so. He might have announced that he's leaving by the end of May. I may have my sources wrong on that. I may have read something that isn't quite true, but I still do believe that is happening. I predicted in March that he just stopped having fun. It wasn't fun for him. He wasn't getting the credit that he thinks he should have. And like the president, he just can't get over the fact that everyone's not praising them for this. So there is a chance that he may decide to have one last push, at least before he leaves. And he feels like people should have their heads cut off. And I know that sounds really dramatic, but how I'm taking that is when I read tea leaves, I get a lot of imagery from the past, from the 1800s, even earlier. And it's sort of that King Henry VIII, off with their heads, that kind of thing. And Elon Musk might go on a bit of a warpath against the donkeys. So I'm Canadian. I see a donkey in here, and I don't know the difference between rhinos and donkeys. I think it's that. Are the Democrats the donkeys? I should really know that. But hey, I know a lot about the States. I don't know everything. Okay, so it looks like Elon Musk may be going after the donkeys. And he's kind of saying, off with their heads. And that's the feeling that I'm getting. That's in the first part of April, definitely within the first week. After that, I feel like he may be moving on a little bit, or riding off into the sunset. I am seeing a large E here as well, near this sort of riding off into the sunset. I think after this one last push, he may be kind of done. At least in front of the public, he may be a bit more behind the scenes. And that can be an issue as well, because he seems like he might have a little bit of a sly look on his face here. Thinks that he's, again, sort of duping people. Here's where my spirits are coming in now. Enough of this. And that's kind of what I'm getting from this particular man who's coming through. He seemingly would be an American and has strong opinions about what's going on. Or what I'm seeing is that he would have had strong opinions if he was still here on Earth, and he's looking down at this and just sort of shaking his head. He could also be Canadian because of my proximity here to the States. In any case, I can take a look and see a little bit more on who he is. He probably passed away with a blood cancer, or something running through his veins, coursing through his veins. So a toxin that coursed through his veins. He was older. He may not have used a cane, but what I'm seeing is him being a little bit feeble, so maybe weaker. So I feel like he might have degenerated, maybe just as an older person. And he's using that cane to kind of shake his stick and say, this is ridiculous, basically. So he would not have been a supporter of what's going on with the administration in the U.S. He might have also been in the military and had some stripes or medals on his lapel as well. And he may have actively been in the army, not necessarily in a war, but in the army, and possibly drove some machinery. The machinery he drove was probably transporting some toxic materials. So he's getting pretty specific, and he's like giving me more information as I go on. It's like I'm seeing my dangling cherries. And for me, that is, here's a little snippet. Here's a little bit more. Here's a little bit more. The dangling cherries, just sort of like almost like dangling carrots, but he's giving me just a little bit more information at a time. And this can be a kind of humorous thing. He's enjoying this interaction. So he probably was like that during life as well. Smart person, smart man. And he may have treated you that way, wanting to teach you, wanting you to inform your own opinions, but he wanted to impart his knowledge on you. His message is that we need to make haste with this. I'm seeing a bunny, which is a very fast animal, can also be very productive, and he feels like things are moving backwards, so he wants to turn things around and move them forwards again, progress. So if you feel like this man is here for you, just know that he is here and he's sort of fighting for you, or he's shaking his cane, shaking his stick, and he wants to know that he's by your side. If you do have a small child, he's watching over your child. And is very close to your child. It feels like he's connected with a toddler. Okay, so it doesn't mean that that's just a child of his or a grandchild of his. It's just someone connected to you who is a baby or a toddler. And maybe maybe the baby is named after him, or just has a very strong connection. Maybe people are putting some characteristics and thinking that this baby or toddler is like him, and he really likes that. Just so you know, he likes that. Okay, so he'll continue to be around you. For the next spirit in the cup, I'm seeing 2 letters, and they don't necessarily have to be connected because they're in separate places. There's an A, capital A, and then a little bit further, there's an M. There's also a capital L, and they all feel very like they're written in calligraphy. So to me, I do calligraphy, and although I don't feel that old, I know that, these days calligraphy isn't taught, but it's someone who had really nice writing, and they wrote all the time. You might have their books or their diaries. You might have some written material that seems very important to them for you to read. They may have recently passed, or they're watching over you and watching you pray for them. The reason why I think that it's a very recent passing is that you still are praying for them. Of course, there's no time limit, right, on praying for people, but it just seems fairly raw and new. There is a lot of love between the two of you. I actually saw a big spacious heart in my saucer, and I think that's related to them. Maybe a loved one. It could be someone who you were married to, because I am seeing a ring. With this person, was there a question around their passing? They're showing me a big question mark, and that you had some communications. I'm seeing a telephone, an old-fashioned telephone like this, but that's just a symbol for me to know that there was some communication. You spoke with somebody on the phone, that you had a question about their passing and wondered what was going on. So I don't think you feel like things had closure, or you feel like there were some mistakes at the hospital. And you'll see that in some writing. There is some document where there's some information. This writing, it's going back to that calligraphy writing. It almost could be even in some documents from the hospital, or even in the will. There's something written in the will. This person may have had an East Coast connection too, because I'm seeing my lobster, or that's also another symbol for that they were your loved one. You were each other's loved ones. So if you are going through a will or the paperwork at the moment, just make sure you're going through everything with a fine-tooth comb. And make sure that everything, all the dots are dotted and all the T's are crossed and things like that. Okay, so that's just a message that this person is concerned that everything won't be taken care of because they wanted to have things taken care of. So that's sort of why they're staying here for now and very close and seeming like they just passed. And they want to make sure that everything is okay before they move on. If you do feel like this message is for you and you want some more information, then do put some notes in the comments, and I'd be happy to do a bit of a further reading for you. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Maybe we could get some more information. There's one more person at the bottom of the cup who feels like a father figure, and he had you on his knee, bouncing you on his knee. There's also another sibling, so you do have a sibling, and the two of you have lost your father. Now, I needed to find out a bit more information because that's all I was seeing and was directed to lay out some of my cards. The center card, which represents your father, and I'm so sorry that you've lost your dad, is my addiction card. Okay, so he wants you to know that he is aware that he had an addiction and that his addiction was the cause of his passing. He was too hard on his body. It was too hard on his body, and he wasn't able to do anything about it. Addiction, he felt, was his illness, and it took over his body. But he was well aware that this was happening. He just couldn't, he feels that he couldn't rise above it. There's a backstory to it. He had that in his family already. It's funny, this candle's starting to die out here. And I feel like that's him, sort of taking the air out of the room at the moment. He wants you to know about the backstory. You already do know this, though. You know that there is a backstory and the reasons behind it. And you do know that this did run in the family. And what he wants you to do with this is to make sure that you break the cycle. It's a lot on you, and he's very aware of this, but he strongly wants you to break this cycle. He does not want you to continue in his footsteps. He feels like he wasn't strong enough to sort of beat it, but he feels like you can. I know that feels like a lot on you, but it's almost a prophecy for you. He feels like this is your birthright to get over this and stop that cycle. Okay, so maybe that's the way to look at this, that you have everything in you, your DNA and your backstory, your dad's love that he wished he could have continued on with, but he feels like he let his addiction get to him. He's here now, and he's wanting to urge you and support you in taking care of yourself. And he knows that you can break this cycle so that you will not pass it down to any others. He wants you to give great attention to this and focus on your family. Boy, I really feel like it's almost like very heavy on you to know this. But if you are already feeling this, just know that that's your intuition talking. You know that you can do it. provide that act of love for yourself and do everything in your power to keep the addictions, keep the snakes. Remember, I started this reading with the snake, which was related to toxic behavior and a toxic person. So this is your cue to love yourself. Okay, so that's where we're going to break some of our major family traumas. The wonderful thing is that I feel that love from him, and I do feel that you can be empowered and that he's here to empower you, although he didn't when he was on earth. So that's a pretty heavy thing to hear, but it's full of love. And I think I'll end my messages there. I hope this resonated with you, and please let me know in the comments if it did, and if you have any questions, that would be great. Please do like and subscribe, and follow me for Friday, my next mediumship reading. I also do give private readings too, so you can find that on my website at thelaurelwitch.com or at lauradaub, DAUB.ca. Okay, so thank you very much, and I hope you've enjoyed this reading, and I hope you have a wonderful evening and a wonderful sleep tonight. Thank you. Good night.